Hey, welcome to another episode of The Dribble, the show where we take a closer look into the Boston Celtics, the rest of the NBA, and whatever else might come up. My name is Luke Irwin, and I am your host. So we're sitting in January right now in the NBA season. This is probably the biggest lull of the season, in my opinion. This is where I wanted the in-season tournament to take place, not in the beginning of the season, but right now. There isn't really a push to get out of the gate fast in the NBA right now, and there also isn't really a sense of urgency to end the season strong, to try to get good seeding. And the players are kind of anticipating the All-Star game, kind of a lull, and also like general fans who are fans of most sports are actually more focused on the NFL playoffs starting. So this is just a weird time in the NBA season, and I stand by what I said to start out the in-season tournament. This is the perfect time for it, in January, right before the All-Star game, a big push, give something to happen in January in the NBA. But we still have a fantastic show because that's what we do over here on The Dribble. We put on a good show. The Celtics slip up, but then go on a rampage, third quarter questions, and Tatum back on time. Then, when you hear this sound, that means it's time to shut up about the Celtics. Enough about the Celtics. It's time to talk about the rest of the NBA. Major Wager returns, as always. And One Take Timmy from Major Wager stays on to do a Celtics draft. A little bit more on that later, describing what that means. Plus, a look ahead, as always, to the NBA upcoming games and schedules, along with the Celtics slate of games coming up this week. So yeah, so much to get into. And I suggest we do. Because this is The Dribble. Okay, so Celtics this week, they had 3 games, and they went 2-1 in those games. Of course, let's start with the first game, which was the only loss of the week. They played the Oklahoma City Thunder. Celtics 123, Oklahoma City Thunder 127. This was a great game. This was 2 young teams kind of coming at each other. The Thunder were up and coming last year, but this year, now they're here. They have arrived. Shai is a bona fide superstar in this league, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and he showed it in this game against the Celtics. And the game before, they had beaten the Denver Nuggets, so taking down the 2 penthouse teams in Hope's Hotel, but just taking down some juggernauts and playing well throughout the entire thing. Like I said, SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's the real deal. In this game, he had 36 points along with 6 boards and 7 assists, so all-around great game, while shooting 64% from the field. He has a super high field goal percentage throughout the year, but 64 on this game just killed us. He also had 0 turnovers. He's just a smart player. I mean, he had 7 assists with 0 turnovers. That's a great rate, and he does that a lot. He's not a super heavy turnover guy, which is insane to see. Thunder shot 45% from 3 in this game, and they hit 18 threes total. But everything else was pretty even. It really came down to shooting and one other factor. But in assists, Celtics 33, Thunder 34. But then it was dead even. Steals, Celtics 7, Thunder 7. Blocks, Celtics 10, Thunder 10. Fast break points, Celtics 15, Thunder 15. Paint points, Celtics 46, Thunder 50, but pretty even. But, we did out-rebound the Thunder. That was the one place that we kind of got ahead of them, but that's no surprise. We're one of the best group rebounding and just best rebounding teams in the league. The Thunder had 38 rebounds, we had 47, and then of course, again, killing the offensive glass, we had 17 offensive boards to their 10. But yeah, you might be wondering, why'd we lose if the one category we led them in was rebounds, which is more possessions for the team, and then everything else was basically deadlocked even, and then they shot well from 3. It was the 3, right? We had a hard time defending their 3. They were shooting incredibly, but it was also the third quarter. The third quarter woes. That's been a huge thing for the Celtics team. The third quarter woes have been absolutely dogging us down, and it's something that has been consistent in every single one of our losses. The Celtics were up by 3 heading into this half, and then we lost the third quarter, again, by a significant margin, and Celtics allowed the Thunder to score 40 points in the third quarter while only pouring in 25 of our own. 25 isn't terrible for a quarter. 25 a quarter averages 100 a game, which in this NBA is low, but it's not terrible. But allowing 40 defensively is terrible. That's not okay. In the third quarter alone, the Celtics starters were all in negative. They were all in a minus plus minus for their plus minus. They were all in the negative. It was a total of negative 68 combined for all the starters. That's way too high for a single quarter. A single quarter, not the game, not the second half. That's for a single quarter. They were minus 68 collectively. JB was a minus 14. JT was a minus 15. Porzingis was a minus 15 as well. Drew Holiday was a minus 10, and D. White was a minus 14. So everybody double-digit minus in the plus-minus category in the third quarter alone. Yikes. I mean, that's what we've seen happen to this team this season. The Celtics are 9th in net rating in the third quarter. They are fine defensively in the fourth quarter. Funny enough, even in this game, they let the other team score 40, but typically they're pretty good. They're 5th in defensive net rating in third quarters. But then in offensive net rating, the Celtics are 18th in the league in offensive net rating in the third quarter. I don't really know what to say about that. 18th in offensive net rating, and we're second in offensive net rating in the league. So that tells you just how bad our third quarters are. So why? What happens? Well, I think a couple things. First, I think we get up big on teams, and then we kind of let go of the rope. If you're a Celtics fan, you hear that a lot, that the Celtics, again, let go of the rope. We did it in the playoffs. We've done it for the past 3-4 years. We've done it through all the different coaches that we've had. The Celtics sometimes let go of the rope. We get up a little bit, or we feel good about playing a team, even if the score is a little tighter, and we just think, we got this. We can beat them, and we let go of the rope. That's what we do sometimes, and Celtics fans know that well. That's just what we do. It seems like we kind of stop playing with aggression and purpose, and the other team always comes out of the gate with aggression and purpose. And, we see a lot of, in these quarters, we see a lot of Tatum pull-ups. We see a lot of Brown driving into 4 different guys in a halfway transition. We see Drew Holiday taking some weird post shots that just go awry. We see just a lot of solo play and that Celtics basketball that is not Celtics basketball in these third quarters. And you see this kind of like it's black and white, right? First half versus second half, even the full second half. The fourth quarters we aren't great in either. We are first in the entire league in effective field goal percentage in the first half. First, that's really good. In the second half, we drop all the way down to 15. We drop down to literally middle of the pack in effective field goal shoot percentage in the second half of games. In the first half, we're 59.8% effective field goal percentage, and in the second half, we are 54.5%. So that's like a full 5% down from the first half to the second half, bringing us to the middle. And that's in line with the Pistons, the Cavs, and the Warriors. Right there, 15th in the league in second half. That's our group. It's the Celtics, the Warriors, the Cavs, the Pistons in that 14, 15, 16, 17 range. We're also 20th in pace in the second half. Something happens at half. We don't play with much pace generally, but 20th is not going to do it, especially coming out of the half. The third quarter is sometimes the most important quarter in a basketball game. And yes, one of the things that could skew this is that the Celtics do get up big on a lot of teams. We do blow out a lot of teams. Our starters don't play the fourth quarter a lot of the times. Usually we have the game kind of locked down, 30-point lead heading into the fourth, or whatever it might be. So that does skew the numbers because then we have our bench players playing, and then the other team also is playing from behind, so they're shooting threes, getting hot, trying to do everything they can to accumulate as many points as they can. So that kind of, just some damage control that does kind of skew the numbers in the second half. But overall, if we want to look at it in the losses, if we want to eliminate those games that I just was talking about where we blow teams out and that might skew the numbers, let's just talk about the losses then, right? Let's check the losses because let's try to take that out of the equation, right? First loss of the year was to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Third quarter against the Timberwolves, outscored by 8, pretty big margin. And all starters, every single starter had a minus in a plus minus. And all of the Wolves starters had pluses in plus minus. Let's check the third quarter against Philly, the next loss. We lost. This is our first back-to-back loss. Philly, we're outscored by 3. So not a big margin, but still outscored. The next loss, third quarter against Charlotte, outscored by 5. All Celtics starters, every single one, was in a negative plus minus, and all Charlotte starters were in a positive plus minus. Kind of a trend. Third quarter against the Magic. Everybody remembers that game. It was an in-season tournament game. Celtics outscored by 11 points in the third quarter. Celtics starters all with not only a minus plus minus, but a minus 10 or fewer in plus minus. So they had either the lowest plus minus of starters. The best plus minus from starters was a minus 10. Everybody else had more than that. Third quarter against the Pacers. Another huge game, in-season tournament game. Celtics outscored by 14 in the third. 14. It's just getting higher and higher. All Celtics starters, again, were in a minus for the plus minus. Right? That's a trend. we're starting to see a trend. In this game, it wasn't any different. Our starters are incredibly efficient in the first quarter, second quarter, but then when it hits the third quarter and even the fourth, but especially the third quarter, we seem to just lose it. I don't think it's Joe, because this has been a consistent thing. People could say, well, it's coaching. We need to have a coach that's in there at halftime, getting everybody excited to play. And maybe Joe just doesn't have their ear. But we said that about Brad, and we kind of said that about Ime, because there were still third quarter woes when Ime was coaching this team. Ime came the closest, I think. Obviously, we made it to the finals with him, but I think he came the closest to really capturing that. But Brad had this issue. Joe has had this issue. I don't think I'm going to put it on Joe yet, because Joe does seem to be a good coach. I've been liking him this year. His lineup choices, he seems to have camaraderie with the players, and the players do seem to like him, right? So I don't think it's that, but who knows? Maybe it is. Maybe we've just had a string of coaches that can't, capture the ear of a lot of these players. But it kind of has to come down to the stars, right? I just showed those numbers. Everybody's in a minus. All the starters are in a minus, and we start taking a lot more ISO shots, and we kind of let the lead slip if we have one, or we let the other team run out ahead of us, setting us up for a precarious fourth quarter, which we all know can go awry with the Boston Celtics late in the game. So we need to clean that up. But the good thing about this team is that we bounce back. There's a thing about this team that we did not have last year, or even the finals run in 21-22. This team gets pissed off. This team does not like to lose. When this team loses a game, like against the Thunder or against the Warriors last week, they decide to go, oh man, I'm going to punch the next person in the face that I see. And then they do. And the next person that they saw was the Utah Jazz, and they punched them in the face. The Utah Jazz just got obliterated by the Celtics, just rampaged. The Celtics were on a rampage, and I like to see that. That's different than other years. Other years, there seemed to be this, they want to win, tons of competitive nature, but almost like this reluctancy to really just bring out that animalistic competitive nature, and we see it with this team for sure. The Celtics 126, the Jazz 97. It's just great to see that, because that's huge. In the playoffs, you're going to lose a game, and if you get down and go, oh shucks, you're going to lose a second game. But if you get mad and Tatum goes off like he's going off, and Brown goes off like he's doing, and Porzingis is stepping up, and Al Horford's stepping up, and D White's doing his thing, we look mad, we look angry, and every single person, we've talked about this on the Celtics team, is a fantastic defender, unbelievable defender. So every single one of them, if they're mad and they're playing hard, they have the defensive skill. You add a little bit of that to that. Oh, this team is hard to beat off of a loss, which is a good sign for playoff time. So, like I said, not much to say about this game. It just was an annihilation. Everybody played really well. Celtics 126, Jazz 97. Like I said, one thing that was interesting, at the 6:20 mark in the second quarter of the game, Jason Tatum had outscored the entire Jazz team by 2. The Jazz 18, Jason Tatum 20. The Jazz had 18 points with the 6:20 mark left in the second quarter, and Jason Tatum had 20 points. He was outscoring them himself. And the Celtics had a cool 51 points. And then we just did not look back at that point. So yeah, it was 51-18, and Jason Tatum single-handedly outscoring the Jazz. And I just love that we take it personal. I love it. And then we moved on a second night of a back-to-back after crushing the Jazz. We go, oh, wow, we have the Pacers now. And who knocked us out of the in-season tournament that ended up actually being an awesome tournament that we kind of wish we won? It was the Indiana Pacers. And all the while, the Indiana Pacers in Indiana, give credit to them, Neesmith and everybody, in that in-season tournament game. We talked about it. Incredible. They were playing great defense. They were playing hard. They were shooting. It was their moment. It was their Super Bowl. But they were talking a lot of trash. And don't think that JB and JT don't remember that. They were talking a lot of trash, a lot of pounding on the chest, a lot of talking in people's ears on the way back, a lot of youngins who haven't done much, talking a lot. Okay? But 118-101 was the final score. Celtics led in field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, rebounds, assists, and they led by 19 at one point against one of the hottest teams in the league. Yeah, they've been slipping since the in-season tournament, but as far as offensive rating and pace goes, they're one of the hottest teams in the league, and we led in all of those categories, which is huge. Again, we came out saying, no, Pacers, it's not your time yet. You talked a lot of trash. Good for you. You got a big win in December against us. Good job. But we're gearing up for the playoffs now. So sit down, and take your medicine. And that's exactly what we did. Biggest takeaway from this game, obviously, like I said, was the bounce back and this aggression, right? Taking things personally, remembering, keeping in the back of their mind. You guys were clowning us in your own building, and you won a game we wanted to win. So here we come, and we're going to take care of it. So that was obviously one thing. But the biggest thing to me was Jason Tatum. In this game, he had 38, 13, and 6 on 61% shooting. He was dominant. He hit clutch baskets in the fourth. He had 15 points in the fourth quarter alone of his 38. And look, all week he's been bouncing back, right? He was in a little bit of a slump in December, admittedly, right? His points per game were going down. He didn't see his shooting efficiency was way down. He was in a huge shooting slump, but now he's brought it back, and we can bring back the graphic that we love so much, Tatum on time. Throw up this graphic, Tatum on time. 98 points in 101 minutes. That's essentially a point a minute while he's on the floor. And in this 3-game stretch, that's the 3-game stretch, 98 points, 101 minutes against OKC, the Jazz, and the Pacers. He's averaging basically a point a minute, as we see here. And throughout that time, he's averaging 33 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists per game in that week stretch, while shooting 53% from the floor and a whopping 58% from 3-point range. Jason Tatum, oh my God, you are on fire. You are on fire. Wow, ringing in 67% effective field goal percentage overall, 67%. So those are MVP numbers. And there's not much you can say other than Jason Tatum. Take a bow. If this is who we have to look forward to, someone, again, he like in these 2 games after the loss to OKC, he is screaming at the ball after he makes a good play. He's invested on defense. He's guarding their best player. He's often seen on Halliburton against the Pacers. He was on Markkanen against the Jazz. He's often on the best player defensively, making huge efforts, making the right play. He's had 6 and 8 and 7 assists in these last couple of games. He's been playing just out of his mind really well, and obviously high rebound numbers too. So kudos there. If he can really harness that kind of anger and like energy against the other team like he is, he clearly had this Pacers game marked on his calendar. And if that's the kind of player he can become with his talent and his defensive side, oh, that's it. That's it. That's what it is. And that's what it was. Oh, all right. You know what that means? That is the buzzer. That means it's halftime. It is time to stop talking about the Boston Celtics. Let's quit it. Okay, let's move on to the rest of the NBA. Now, we have a special episode today of the NBA side of things. We're not doing Hope's Hotel. I don't think much has changed. Go check out my previous episode for my Hope's Hotel rankings. Hope's Hotel, by the way, is my tier ranking where I rank teams based on their title hopes, everywhere from the parking lot, no hopes, all the way to the penthouse, high hopes. But we're going to skip that this week. Go check out previous episode to check out where your team is or where all the teams lay on the Hope's Hotel. Instead, we are going to do, you already know what it is. It's another episode of Major Wager, but I'm actually going to be keeping Timmy KGB, a.k.a. T-Bone Steak, extra rare, not a bit of hollandaise, on for a little bit more. And we're going to do a super exciting thing. We are going to do a little bit of a Celtics draft. But more details on that once we get into Major Wager. And let's bring it in. Let's bring in my degenerate gambling brother, Timmy KGB. Let's do it, Timmy. What is this? It's Major Wager. Timmy KGB, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I'm excited for this episode of Major Wager, dude.
Oh, yeah. Fired up. Let's go. We got something fun planned for the people today.
Yes, we do. But first, let's go into Major Wager. Let's check on last week's bet because both of us lost. We both lost. I had the Pacers over the Bucks.
That's becoming a theme on Major Wager.
It is. For some reason, we just absolutely can't catch a break. Whenever one of us wins, the other person usually wins, and then one of us loses, the other person also loses. Last week I had the Pacers over the Bucks, which hit. That was cool. But I also had Tyrese Halliburton in that game to have over 13.5 assists, which it was the one game that he did not go crazy this past couple of weeks. He had 11 assists. So close, but kind of far. 3 assists is kind of a lot. So I lost $150. I bet $150.
Oh, you did? Oh, look at you.
I know. I know. I'm getting greedy with my money. The second I go up, I decide to make my steepest bet. But just wait till this week.
Vegas is winning, baby. That's what they want.
That's what it is. They want me to keep pumping it with the stinky green. That's what I call it. With my stinky green. And then Tim, your bet, you had Jamal Murray total stat count with rebounds, points, and assists for 33 and a half, over 33 and a half. That one hit.
Oh
He
yeah.
had a total of 35 points.
Yep.
But then you also threw in Lillard to have over 36 and a half total stat count, and he only had 25
You know
total.
what is crazy about that one? Because I was like counting that money at halftime. Lillard had a good first half. He was like, I don't know, on pace for 50 combined points, rebounds, and assists. I thought I was easily gonna, and then I was like refreshing, like, is my phone broken? Like, or did he, like tear his ACL? Like, what happened? No, he was healthy, he was out there, he just wasn't a part of the game. So um yeah, we'll have a Lillard conversation at some point on this podcast. And he's had good moments, but he's had a lot of disappointing moments. And yeah, that was one of the disappointing ones. It was just he just no showed that second half.
Oh, well, that puts us pretty even, pretty close. Again, the race has been tight. Currently, where we sit, I have $810 and you have $800. So I'm still up by only 10. But we're neck and neck. This thing's tight.
Love it.
Love it. All right, so let's one of us try to get ahead here and pick tomorrow's picks. Tim, what do you got leading into this next week, this new year?
Okay. We have the Chicago Bulls playing the Charlotte Hornets tomorrow. So the Bulls and the Hornets are on a home and home. They played the last night or the night before, and the Bulls won pretty handily. So the line for this game is 5.5. So yeah, or so 6. It's actually just changed. I will accept those line changes for this show. So the Bulls are now favored by 6 points. They're -6. I'm gonna take the Bulls. I'm just playing around here on Major Wager. I'm just adding new things I would never do. So I'm taking the Bulls -6, and also the Bulls as the first team to score 20 points in this game. So
Oh,
race to 20 points and the -6. It feels like, I mean, the Charlotte team sucks, and we all know that. But the Bulls have been nice. They haven't been great, but this sort of like Kobe White thing, and I've sort of kind of enjoyed watching them, especially without Levine. And they should handle this team pretty much the same way they handled them a couple days ago. So yeah, -6, and then I thought, why not? Let's parlay that with the race to 20 points. Because this Bulls team feels like they should get out to a pretty early lead. You know,
yeah.
those two things parlayed together, it's a modest plus 158.
Okay,
So
that's pretty good.
I mean, again, we've learned this from doing this pod.
Yeah.
You do these like props and weird parlays and exotics, and you think, God, that seems really doable, but then it like doesn't hit.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
I don't know. That seems the past couple of weeks, the last times you've lost, it's because of the second you always have a bet, and I'm always like, oh, that's a good bet. Moving on to me, and then you're like, but then I'm
well,
gonna, and it's always that second one that screws you.
well, when you do one a week, you want to make it sexy, right? You want to make
True.
it a little bit exotic. So anyway, I'm gonna do what I've been doing, which is $100. I can't stomach betting less than $100 on a game, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
put $100 on this parlay. Again, that's the Bulls -6, and also to be the first team in that game to reach 20 points, and it's plus 158, so 100 for 258.
Love it. I love it. Well, I'm throwing some good money at this. So I'm gonna go with the Houston Rockets money line over the Miami Heat. The odds on this right now are plus 164. So I'm taking those because Jimmy Butler's not playing. He's
Is that
out.
right?
They just
Okay.
came out with his injury report. He is not playing tomorrow against the Rockets.
Okay.
So they are without Jimmy Butler, and the Rockets have been kind of back on their bullshit, you might say, which they were on earlier in the season. So I'm taking that easily, and I'm actually going to throw 200 bones at it.
Lukey, I love it.
200. Yeah.
I
And
love it.
that wins me 528 if I get that. So I'm going big. I'm swinging big, swinging for the fences. But I think those odds are crazy, right? Jimmy Butler out.
Yeah, I didn't know Jimmy wasn't going to play, but if he's not playing, I think that's a good bet. The Rockets have been fun to watch. Yeah, it kind of depends on what Jalen Green you're going to get, but I think it's a nice bet.
Yeah.
So what are the odds on the game? Just money line?
The money line is the odds are 164.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Love it.
right.
Yeah.
I'll take that. All right, sweet. So that has me at, like I said, 810. You at 800, and something's got to give here in this next week. Let's move on to a little segment, Timmy. I want to do with you. Well, I want to do it with you because it was your idea.
Oh.
Um, we're gonna do, everybody, a post Y2K Celtics draft. So basically, this is a draft, an 8-man rotation using only players who are on the Celtics from the year 2000 and up, including this year. We're going to be drafting 5 starters, 3 bench players, and 2 coaches. That's a head coach, and then you get 1 assistant coach as well. Also, you can pick anyone in those years to be a starter, regardless of how much time they've spent on the bench. So if there's somebody who spent a lot of time on the bench, but you want them as a starter, you can pick them as a starter. However, you can only choose people who spent significant time on the bench as bench players. Significant for this basically means like more than a year coming off the bench as a Celtic, and that does not include their rookie year. For example, like Jaylen Brown came off the bench, but that was his rookie year, and then the following year he started. So he would not be eligible to be a bench player on your team. An example of the opposite would be like Marcus Smart, right? He seems like a starter, but he came off the bench actually for the first 4 years of his career, which kind of blew my mind a little bit. So he is somebody you can bench as a starter, like we said, but you can also draft him as a bench guy as well. Also, all the players that you pick are in their Celtic prime, not their career prime, which is very important. For example, don't pick Shaq. If you pick, I mean, you can pick Shaq. You can do whatever you want, but you're not picking Orlando Shaq. You're not picking Lakers Shaq. You're picking 2010 Shaq Attack in green.
The Green Monster.
Yeah. And then finally, keep in mind, you're drafting a full team. That's what we're doing, right? We're not just drafting best players. We're drafting what would make the most cohesive, chemistry built team to win a championship. And then when we're done, maybe we'll talk about whose team would win if it actually came down to a 7-game series and why. So this is exciting. What do you think, Timmy?
I think it's great. I mean, it was my idea, obviously, but we're in the doldrums of the season a little bit, so it's fun to play these little thought experiments and exercises, and yeah, I think it's key what you just said. Like the idea is, obviously, we could debate who are the best Celtics, but it's drafting a team, so you got to think about locker room guys, team chemistry, like in addition to having stars and having scoring and I think that'll fit too with the coaches we pick and the assistant coaches and the overall philosophy. And I think it'd be fun to imagine like our two teams if they met up in the finals, like who would win in a 7-game series. So
yeah,
yeah,
totally. Well, let's decide who picks first. Who gets the
yeah,
first? It would be you, because the worst team in person gets the first draft pick
yeah,
typically.
sure, yeah.
So it should be you. But in the interest and fairness, I got a quarter here. It is double-sided, tails and heads. It's an American-made quarter.
No tricks.
U.S. American-made. What state is it? Let's see. No state. This is just the one that represents all of America. So
Okay.
I'll flip it. Timmy, in the air, call it.
This is important, by the way. I would say the first pick is super, super important in this draft.
Really important, because it's not just the first pick you get, but it sets you up for picks 3 and 4 really well. So this is huge. Oh, and I should mention, whoever does not get to pick first, so the person who does not get the first pick will be picking the bench first. So in the final, right, so they'll get their last starter, and then they'll get the first bench player picked, which is also a big leg up. So it kind of evens out a little bit. All righty. Ready? You call it in the air, okay?
Yep. Heads.
Heads.
Yeah.
Damn. Ah. All right. Shoot. Okay. I really think you're gonna. Okay. Let's do it, Timmy. Let's put some draft music on. All right, Tim, go ahead.
All right, so I planned for this. I definitely know who I'm gonna pick. I wonder if my philosophy here is the same as yours. I'm going with. Do you know? Do you have a sense of who I'm gonna pick?
I know who I'm picking first.
I'm going with Kevin Garnett.
Damn.
That's who you would pick. Yeah.
That was my first pick.
Okay, like I feel it's the only pick in some ways, right? And like you just said, you like planning ahead in the draft because like, he's not the best Celtic since 2000. I mean, you could debate that maybe, but like, he is to me the guy you want to pick in this position. So obviously here I'm drafting my emotional leader. right? I'm drafting the guy who's gonna be like banging his head against the stanchion, no matter if it's like, an October game against like the Charlotte Hornet or whatever. Like, yeah, he's going hard every night. Okay,
Yes.
he is the leader of this team. He's the emotional dog. He's got no safe word. He's just at 100% all the time. So KG, yeah, I think it speaks for itself, Lukey. It's not a complicated pick. And yeah, KG, let's go. Big ticket.
Well, that was certainly my first pick for those
Yeah,
reasons. I think it sets off the tone of the team. I think these
totally.
Celtics teams, as we know them, if you don't have KG on your team, which now you do, I don't, you're going to have a semi moody team.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because KG's not moody at all.
Yeah. Well, no, KG's moody, but he keeps people in line. I mean, like dark and like
Totally.
not, he is a vocal leader that nobody else on our, he's the most vocal
If
leader.
someone's like in their feelings, like on their Twitter feed on the plane, KG's just slap that out of their hand.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's going to,
totally.
that great pick. All right. So Timmy with KG as the first pick. Now I got some thinking to do. Okay, it comes down to two people for
Totally.
this first pick, and I ran at some numbers and I made my pick based on numbers, which are numbers that you wouldn't think
I
are.
already I already know who you're picking.
I'm picking Jason Tatum.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So here's why. I was thinking, okay, we're trying to win a championship. He's a scorer, but is he clutch enough? Let's run through some Tatum versus Pierce because that was the other person I was going to pick.
Obviously.
Numbers real quick. So in the fourth quarter stats in the playoffs, and I just took the year that Pierce won a championship and the year that the Celtics went to the finals. So 2021 and 2007. And in that, Pierce in the playoffs, keep in mind, 35% field goal percentage, 16% from three,
What?
16 in those playoffs, 30% from the
No,
floor.
that can't be true.
It's true.
The
Go look it
whole
up.
playoffs?
The whole playoff, 16% from three. This is on basketballreference.com. Anybody can go check my
Oh,
stats here.
okay.
30% from the floor in the final 3 minutes of the fourth quarter in the playoffs. 30%. So final 3 minutes of the fourth quarter, 30% from the floor. Now, same exact stats. Tatum, 46% field goal percentage in the fourth quarter of those playoffs. 46% from three, Jason Tatum was in those playoffs. And he shot 50% with 3 minutes or less in the fourth quarter. So the numbers don't lie. 35 field goal to 46, 16 to 46 in 3-point percentage. And he shot 50% compared to Pierce's 30% in the final 3 minutes of the final frame. So for that, I'm taking Jason Tatum.
I have to. I'm so incredulous about those numbers. I mean, I believe you obviously, but wait, Pierce shot 16%.
I have it pulled up right here on Basketball Reference. Paul Pierce, 2007, 2008 shooting, picked playoffs only, 3-point percentage, 0.167.
Yikes.
Yeah. So 17% if you round up, but 16% essentially.
I mean, that's
I'm on
wild.
Basketball Reference. You got to believe me.
Yeah,
Anybody out there, if I'm wrong, let me know, but I'm right. I'm looking at it right now on my computer. So, yeah.
That is wild.
I know.
That
So
is wild.
super low and the clutch shooting.
You put 2007, 2008, right? Not like, okay.
Yep. And
Okay.
yeah, we didn't make the playoffs in the year before. This is
No, we
only
didn't. Yeah.
playoffs.
One of the worst teams in the league. Yeah.
Pretty brutal. So that's my first pick, Jason Tatum.
No, it's great. Great pick. I would have probably taken Tatum as well. My argument for taking Pierce, if and when I took him, was going to be his clutchness, which you just sort of disproved, I guess. But I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean, those numbers are what they are, I guess. Paul Pierce is Luke. You know this. He's my favorite player ever.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to take him here. Although it's. I hope it doesn't just fall in line like this. Like I get all the 2008.
You get all the old guys, I get the new guys.
But they won a championship. So yeah, I'm obviously gonna pick Paul here. There's sort of no other choice. Yeah. So we are.
So you're taking Paul Pierce as your second pick.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
You have to, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm drafting Paul Pierce. He is going to be the guy in this team. You gave those stats, but like Pierce Pierce is the kind of guy, like he was never afraid to be like, hold my beer, it's my time. I'm gonna get my shots. He adapted really well to that championship team, scoring less than he had in the past while still remaining the sort of the leading scorer and the leader of that team. Finals MVP. We know all the accolades. Yeah, like there is no other pick here. You said it. I mean, there's really three best Celtics,
Yeah.
right? I think it's not really an argument.
Yeah.
There's
In the past
KD,
20 years,
Tatum,
right?
and Tatum, yeah.
24.
So my hands are kind of tied here, but yeah, I'm happy to take Paul Pierce with the second pick.
I like that. Okay. So this is where it gets a little bit stickier, I think.
Yep.
Obviously, by the way, Paul Pierce, yeah, he was neck and neck for my first pick after
Luke hates
KG.
Paul Pierce. I think this draft has proved it. He hates him. Luke, you never liked Paul Pierce.
I'm
You
actually
always
gonna pick Greg
yeah,
Steamsma as my third.
yeah, yeah. Like, big Steamsman guy.
All right. My third pick. Now, here's I have a strategy. I'm looking around. I'm gonna do Rajon Rondo.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
I
And
mean, I love it mostly because I would have probably picked him. It's like that would have been way too much 2008.
yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, I think if we're talking Celtics prime, we're talking Rondo 2010, right? He led the league in assists in that year. And if we're able to pull the best players, like you said, and we're talking about chemistry and working together, he's the only point guard. I love so many of the other options, but he's the only point guard that's gonna get the ball to the scorers. So if we have so much talent on the floor, imagine I have a team in my mind. I'm not going to talk about who else I have on there, but Rondo, pure point guard, distributor to so much talent that will be on this team. So that, Rajon Rondo is my second pick as my point guard on my post Y2K Celtics draft.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. Obviously, I love the idea of imagining Rondo playing with Tatum. I
Yeah.
think it would be really fun. However,
Again, Moody.
not to, I don't want to. I want to. He's Rondo is a locker room risk. Like he's a moody boy. Like
Moody.
he is a sulky boy. Like he's gonna be playing Connect Four or whatever the hell, like doing his rollerblading. Like he's a sulky boy. So I'm not saying Tatum is, but you've got a couple of introverts there. You've got a couple of kind of like like icy personalities, like, right?
I do. That's why I said earlier Moody. Like because I was looking at my team, and if it was KG, Rondo, and Tatum, I mean, because KG cuts the Moody right out of it.
He would cut it right out.
He would not allow. That's why Rondo worked when KG was on the team, and then as soon as KG left, Rondo was just a little emo boy.
Yeah,
throwing people the
I mean,
ball.
you and
All
I are
right.
both huge Rondo fans. I love that pick. I love Rondo so much. Okay.
So it's your third pick.
I feel like it's an obvious pick here, at least for me here. I'm going with IT.
Yeah.
Look, I'm sacrificing a little in terms of defense, obviously, but I've got KG. Okay, and Paul Pierce, by the way, underrated defender, good defender.
Yeah.
I'm getting a legit dog, a short king of the fourth. Like IT is it's just amazing. And by the way, you remember I'm getting the way we did the rules of this draft. I'm getting the best version of IT.
Yeah.
So I'm not getting. We're not really. We didn't really talk about this, but we're not really like thinking about the injury proneness. We're thinking about you just get their best year.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like this is a guy who like led the team to the Eastern Conference Finals, who had like no business going to the Eastern Conference Finals. Like that team, really fun story. It was supposed to be a rebuilding team. Like the reason why the Celtics never entered a sort of lottery phase, a process phase, was because of that Kings trade or the was it a trade or was it a um
It was a trade.
it
Yeah.
was a trade. It was a
Yeah.
trade deadline move. Yeah.
Yep.
That changed the trajectory of the Celtics, and they got so much better, so much quicker than they thought they would. Yeah. So like 29-6 his last year, fifth in MVP that year, and we all remember the playoff run. Like that's what sticks in everyone's mind. Like getting his tooth knocked out by
Yep.
Otto Porter game one of that Wizard series, then going on to just like go off in that game. Obviously, the tragic events of his sister's death. Like, I feel like anyone who watched the Celtics in those years like fell in love with him forever in that run.
Yep.
And then, like he hurt his hip. He didn't play in the Eastern Conference Finals. We got not swept by the Cavs. I think we won
It was a
one. We
gentleman's sweep. Yeah, it
had the
was five
gentleman sweep
one or
there,
4-1.
and then he was gone for
Yeah,
Kyrie.
then he was gone.
Like, and yeah, I feel like it. His legacy is Celtics fans love him, but like, yeah, his legacy would be so much different. Obviously, if he had played in that Eastern Conference Finals, you could make the argument that we would have won that series. So it's IT for me. And talk
Big.
about positivity. Like, he's a positive guy, just like a guy you want in your locker room, a dude who worked hard and got where he got. And also, I was gonna say this, sent you a cameo of this guy on your
I was gonna
birthday
say,
a couple weeks ago.
I have a personal message, and dude, so you're killing me. You're making all the picks that I wanted to make because, and it all like I said, it all starts with KG. You have a determined,
Yeah.
tenacious, and mentally tough unit already.
It's
Like
dogs only,
you
bro.
got dogs. You got dogs.
Dogs
You got
only.
straight dogs, dude. And I got dogs, but
You
they're
got dogs.
I
There's
got
a lot
dogs.
of
I got dogs
Celtics
for
don't.
sure. Tatum is a dog, but so I'm gonna pick another guy. This is my third pick. So your third pick is IT, incredible pick. My third pick coming in at shooting guard,
I know who it is.
Jesus Shuttlesworth,
Yeah.
Ray Allen. A kind of again a kind of moody guy, but I'm picking a lot of quiet dudes. But it's got to be Ray Allen. Now we have spot up shooting. We have not only spot up shooting, but what I think Ray Allen brings to the table more than anything else in that 2007-2008 championship is his off ball movement. I was watching some of the highlights from those playoffs. Obviously, his high volume 3-point shooting for the time at least was incredible, but he completely swirled around the defense. He was like Steph Curry. He was Steph Curry before Steph Curry, where he ran without the ball so much. And I just, that in that prime, the Rondo to Allen connection was incredible. And if I have Rondo and Allen, there's already some of that chemistry baked in. And I just think he got this, like we have Tatum on the block. I think he's a better version of Pierce. And then we have Rondo distributing and then Ray Allen floating around the 3-point line. And he plays good defense. And, he's won championships. He can hit the big shot in the big moment. Obviously won championships with the Celtics. But then he also won championship with the Heat and he saved LeBron's butt by hitting that three against San Antonio in 2014. So yeah, I got clutch shooting. I got shooting overall, and then I have somebody to move around so the ball's not so stagnant. That's why I'm taking Ray Allen as my third pick in the Y2K post Y2K Celtics draft.
Yeah, I would have taken him there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great pick there. He can adapt to any team. He's another
Yep.
guy like Pierce, like all those three guys, like Garnett, Pearson, and Ray. They all sort of were really well suited to like adapting to a new role. So
Yeah, totally.
okay, I've got KG, I got Pierce, I got IT. I really want to make a pick that's like kind of is more chemistry based.
You only have 5 more seconds on the clock, buddy.
Okay, this is gonna be insane, but I am picking Derek White.
I knew you were gonna. That's who I thought you were gonna pick. That's not
Well,
insane.
I was gonna pick Jalen.
Because if it's in his prime for the Celtics, that's right now,
Yeah.
and he is playing out of his mind right now.
Well, the thing is, there's better players than Derek White left, right? But like,
Right.
I am starting to think now that I've drafted three guys, I'm drafting my fourth guy about position and about team chemistry. I wanted to draft a second guard with IT that would complement IT well, and I think Derek White is that guy. Okay, so IT obviously has some issues on defense. He's a great shooter, whatever. Derek White is going to guard the other team's best guard every night, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, we can hide IT. You know what I mean? We can sort of scheme it up. But yeah, like we've talked about Derek White a lot on this pod already because he's my favorite Celtic right now.
Yeah,
I made the big case for him to be an all-star last week. And he's like, yeah, he's the Ferrari of glue guys.
he is.
Right? Like he is like the Rolls Royce of role players, baby.
Dude,
like,
your
yeah,
your team mentally
yeah.
is crazy. This is a crazy team because Derek White is
There's
is
gonna be
the
a lot of
ultimate
like,
workhorse.
like locker room positivity, a lot of hijinks, a lot of like, you're gonna see the 30 for 30 a few years after this team wins, and it's gonna be like, man, those guys were best friends.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm shooting for. Yeah. And so again, Derek White, he's gonna score a little. He can disappear when he needs to. He can be a force when he needs to. He's gonna complement IT. And I just thought I had a lot of guys who were score first with Paul and IT, so I wanted someone who can sort of adapt to a role. So D White.
I love that. That's a great pick. I think
Crazy
that
that he's being
he's
picked so
who I
high.
thought. It was him or Ray Allen for me, but Ray Allen just has the clutch gene that I needed, especially with
No, Ray
Tatum
was
and
the right
Rondo
pick for that
out
team.
there so far. So yeah, I needed Ray Allen in that. But that's a great pick. D White, I have him on my starters list here in my notepad. But I mad you took him. But I already have two guards and one forward. So I need some size. I got no size right now. And I am also with my fourth pick. So your fourth pick was Derek White, D White, the great white Derek. My fourth pick is going to be also a new Celtic, and his name is Kristaps Porzingis.
Yeah.
Porzy, aka the Latvian Leviathan. This man is is again prime, which is right now. I went over in last week's pod about how efficient he is and all of the categories that he leads the Celtics. He leads the Celtics right now with Tatum and Brown. He leads them in PER. He leads them in win shares per 48 minutes. He's tied with Tatum with overall offensive win shares. He leads us in effective field goal percentage. He is just an absolute titan. Plus, he plays good defense. That gives me now a little bit more rim protection that I didn't have. He's long. He can shoot the three, so he's gonna space the floor out for Tatum. But the biggest thing, the biggest reason I wanted him, and I'm so happy I got him, is him and Rondo. I
Yeah.
would love to see a pick and roll, pick and pop situation with him
Mm.
and Rondo. I mean,
Mm.
they would just,
They would
I,
hook up. They would
they
hook
would,
up.
they would hook up. And again, kind of a guy not known for his locker room presence. So I'm but this year he's been
I was gonna
fantastic.
say, I think this year he's fitting in really well with this team.
But in years past, it has
Yeah.
been said that his locker room stuff is not so great. But this year it seems like he's, turned a new page. And again, I'm taking him for just this year. So yeah, that he's coming in at my center power forward. Give me some
I like
length.
it. Yeah, you needed a big. I think that's the best pick. Um, there's two guys here. So I've got KG, Paul Pierce, IT, and D White.
Yeah.
And there's really only two guys, and I think whoever I don't pick, you'll pick.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion, for starters. And there's like the head pick, like who you should pick, and there's the heart pick. I think I'm gonna go with the heart pick.
Who are you going with?
I'm going with a guy I grew up loving, employee number 8. I'm going with Antoine Walker.
Oh my God.
And I'll explain why. And here's why.
Yes. Yes.
So I'm looking at my position. So I want to make sure I have a well-rounded starting five here. So IT and D White as a backcourt.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I got Paul as my small forward, and KG's gonna play center because I'm viewing this through a sort of more modern NBA lens.
Modern NBA. Yeah.
Right. We don't have to do that. We didn't specify that, but that's how I'm seeing. And KG's gonna definitely be my center, and I'm gonna have a center on the bench, a bigger guy to come in and play different matchups, whatever. Um, I was looking between Walker and Brown, obviously, but Walker just fits that better. He's gonna be my power forward, and he is going to. I mean, like, so Antoine Walker, I would say he's underrated. Like 24, 9, and 5. Is that T Mac or is that Antoine? You know what I mean? Like,
Right. True.
obviously, I'm not saying he's good as Tracy
I was gonna
McGrady.
say, I wouldn't call
I'm
him
just
T
saying,
Mac.
like, here's the thing. Antoine Walker would be great in today's NBA. Size and shooting. Like he was he was sort of ahead of his time in some
Yeah.
ways with his game. Now, again, we talk about locker room guys, right? Okay. So Antoine, not always known as, conducive to winning, a winning player. Like he had a sort of rep, like almost like a DeMarcus Cousins. Okay, I get that. However, so did Pierce in some ways
Yeah.
before the 2008 season. Like, I think Twan never really got his moment with the Celtics. He was traded before they got really good. He had some moments though. They made the playoffs with him, and so I'm betting on the fact that my locker room is going to be solid enough so that we got KG, we got IT, we got Paul, we got D White. These are pros.
Yeah.
And Antoine might he might have some moments that he's going to get put in his place, and he's going to adapt to his role, and he's a guy who's going to win you some games in the playoffs. I swear. I mean, I love Antoine Walker. I really do.
Well, first of all, you're bringing Pierce and Antoine back together, and then
Oh,
you just add in KG's discipline and leadership on that team. That's a great pick. And by the end of the year, KG's going to have him in line. I love that.
that'd be best
Um,
buds.
well, that's my turn, and since you got the first pick, I get to do my last pick, and I get to start the bench. And
That's
this
right.
is where I'm going to start to take a little bit of a turn back into your lane here. You'll see what I'm talking about. So for my last pick of my starting five, I was going back and forth about this, but I need some defense on my team. If you look at who I have Rajon Rondo, who admitted to the world that he does not play defense. I have Ray Allen, who's a capable defender, but he's not known for his defense, certainly. I have Tatum, who definitely is a very good defender, but he is somebody who, if you want the most offensive production out of him, he's not going to be guarding the team's best player. And then I have Porzingis, who's great rim protection, but I don't have any perimeter
Yeah, you don't have a
defense.
stopper. Yeah.
I don't have a
I know
stopper.
what you're
So
doing.
who am I going to have as my stopper? I can have anybody. And I need, again, not just a stopper, but perimeter defense. And especially if we're doing this in the lens of modern basketball, I need someone guarding the 3-point line. And there's one person on here who you would think is the person that I would be picking, but it's not. For my fifth
Ooh,
pick, this might come to a shock to a lot of people, but it is a pure defensive pick because we have enough scoring on the floor. My pick in the post Y2K Celtics draft, my fifth pick is Tony Allen.
oh, okay, I love it. I mean, he was on my bench list, obviously, but
Of
yeah,
course.
sure.
And per the rules, I can have anybody I want starting. It's just the parameters that affect the bench players. Tony Allen. Now, you can probably guess who I was going to pick, and maybe I'll pick him next. But Tony Allen is a prime Celtic. He is a lockdown defender, and he specializes in the perimeter, but he also is a beast in the paint on defense. Not obviously a scorer, but we have plenty of scoring. But what does he do? Because he's a hustler. He gets second chance points, offensive rebounds, and he's going to muck it up. He's also somebody that brings a little bit of fire to the starting five that's a little bit too calm for what I like, right?
Very cool.
Rondo's doesn't speak really. Ray Allen, just
Most of these guys
assassin.
don't speak.
Yeah,
Honestly, I'm
I
looking
don't
at your
think he can. I remember the first time I heard him
Tatum,
speak.
Rondo, Ray.
Yeah,
These guys are not talking.
they're not loud. And so,
There's a
you
lot
know,
of ear. There's a lot of AirPods.
yeah, there's a lot of like, huh? Huh? Was it? Huh? Oh,
My team, on the other hand, is screaming at each other.
yeah, I was gonna say quite the opposite on your team. Nobody is listening; they're all just screaming. But yeah, that's how I'm gonna round it out with Tony Allen. I know he's a typical bench guy, but I think we have enough scoring, and I think he's a guy who can galvanize the starting five to play a little bit more defense, and he'll pick up the best player, so Tatum doesn't have to, and then he also provides some perimeter defense as well. So
I
that's my
like it. I
guy.
mean, it's an interesting one in the sense that TA's pick definitely was. I mean, TA's peak was later.
Yeah,
Like on the Grizzlies.
on the Grizzlies,
You're
right?
getting Celtics TA, which was really good, obviously, but he went on to ascend. So I mean,
His best year
yeah.
was the last year with the Celtics, and that's the
No,
year I would take.
his best year was with the Grizzlies later.
No. His best year on the Celtics
Oh, on
was
the
his last
Celtics.
year, which is the year that got him traded to the Grizzlies. And of course, but I think the Grizzlies just used him right. Which later, when we talk about coaches,
So
you're going to
you'll
see that
you'll bring out the best in Tony Allen.
I'm going to bring out the best of T. Allen. So yeah, Tony Allen is my last pick, and so yeah, those are mine. I have point guard Rondo, I have shooting guard Ray Allen, I have small forward Tatum. Small forward Ray Allen, shooting guard Tony Allen, and then power forward is Tatum and Porzingis at my center.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
We'll talk about our omissions later, but we have some glaring ones, obviously. But we'll talk about
absolutely. But they can still be picked, or they can't be picked for bench. But
no, some of them can. Yeah.
Let's move on to the bench. Let's go to the deep bench. Let's go into the rotation. Remember, we're doing 3 bench each, so an 8-man rotation. All right. My first bench pick. Oh, you took him. This is gonna be tough because I have some names on here that I wanna.
This is where it gets interesting.
Yeah. So apart from injury, there's only one person that you truly can pick because he's the only Celtics that has won the 6th man of the year. I'm picking Malcolm Brogdon as my first bench player.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So again, he won sixth man of the year. No other bench Celtic has done that. But if he didn't get injured against Miami, he was awful in Miami. So for some reason, Celtics fans have this cloud over their brain that they're thinking that is who Malcolm Brogdon was, or he didn't just show up. He had an elbow injury, but if we're taking him at his best in the Celtics, think about him in the leading up to the playoffs. He was such an essential part. I think people don't talk about that. We lost to the Heat last year, but people don't talk enough about Malcolm Brogdon. He had to have surgery on his elbow. He was not right. He was like a huge lift off the bench for us. He won sixth man of the year, and we were without him against the Heat. And I think that's why we lost. Honestly, we didn't have as deep as we needed, and so I got him coming off the bench first.
Yeah, and he fits with your guys who don't talk thing.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want anybody talking to anybody about anything. Everybody chill. Just go play basketball. Don't talk.
Mind your own business.
Mind your own damn business. Put the ball in the basket.
Wow, that's not who I thought you were going to choose.
By the way, I don't mean that as in shut up and dribble. So I don't.
I love Malcolm, but I can honestly, he was not on my list.
Wow.
For bench because, well, I mean, I guess I have mixed feelings about him because I think he's great. Like statistically, you're like, look at him, and he won the award. But like, I don't know. I was always like left cold by his actual eye test involvement in the game. Anyway,
yeah.
But
well,
that's
there
just
you go.
I want to pick a guy, but you can veto it because I'm not sure we've completely discussed whether this is allowed.
Okay.
But totally veto it if it doesn't. Yeah, I want to pick Al Horford here.
Okay. Yeah.
Currently coming off the bench, currently a six man, but obviously has started his entire career. Seriously, I just give your honest reaction to that because I totally accept if we don't.
Well, we talked about this earlier. He is currently coming off the bench. I think if you were to take Horford, though, the problem is you can't take him in his prime with the Celtics because, well, I get you can, but he's been a starter not only always with the Celtics, but on any team he's been on.
Yeah. So we're gonna say that he's not a bench.
I think he's a perennial starter. Yeah.
I'm cool with that. Because it's easy after that, which is Marcus Smart, obviously.
Yeah. Right.
I'm surprised you didn't take him before. I thought you were going to take him instead of TA, but yeah, man, Marcus, especially like Marcus is amazing. Marcus is also frustrating. There have been problems with Marcus in terms of shot selection, in terms of
that's why I couldn't have him on my team.
Yes, on your team, I think Marcus would have maybe been a problem.
Him and Rondo would have killed each other.
On your team, I agree with that, Lukey, because chemistry-wise, Marcus would have sort of seen himself as the emotional leader of that team, which he did on the Celtics teams in recent years past, which created some problems. We love Marcus here on the pod, but
love Marcus Smart. No, amazing.
Yeah. He's the ultimate, as Bill Simmons would say, like no, yes guy.
Yes,
but in my team with KG, with Paul, with some of these personalities, Marcus would be an awesome six man.
Yeah.
And I think he would thrive in that role. It's a no-brainer. Love Marcus Smart. Gonna pick him here.
I love that. That's a really good one. And you're right. The tone of your team is, I mean, your team would be the last team you would want to see in a bar fight. I mean, you got dogs. You got dogs on that team, every single one, and they're all going to make each other play at a higher level. And you're talking Marcus Smart at the peak of his Celtic prime, right?
Yeah.
That's his Defensive Player of the Year award.
Player of the Year.
Yeah. So you're incredible.
That's a great pick. Defensive Player of the Years.
Yeah. I was going to say, your team is scaring the shit out of me. I will say.
And we got one on perimeter, one inside.
Moving on to my seventh pick.
This is where it gets juicy.
Post Y2K Celtics draft. Another bench guy. So we have not that much size, especially like brute size in my team. So we have Tony, we have Porzingis and Tatum are really like the big men on this team. Not a ton of great talent bench wise in the size category for the Celtics.
Yeah, but there's a couple.
I wonder who you have and who you're thinking of.
I'm
Again,
guessing.
Celtics prime. I'm gonna have to go. It's tough because I do need size. I got Brogdon. I have Tony Allen. I have Ray Allen, and I have Rondo. So I have plenty. I have some good guard play here. A couple different people. I need some real size. I don't need some fake size. I don't need some baby
I
sized.
know you. I know you're picking.
You know who I'm picking?
Yeah, I do.
You really know who I'm picking?
Yeah.
All right, let's see.
Can we
Rob
say it at the
Willie.
same time? No. Okay, that's not who I was gonna say.
That's not who you thought. I'm taking Rob Williams.
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams. R.I.P. I'm taking Robin Williams for my seventh pick. All right, dude. That's my seventh pick.
I
And
love it.
I got really no explanation for Rob Willie. We all know.
Yeah.
He's in his prime. If he's the guy who he was in the 2021-2022 season, then I'm picking him.
Yeah, I wanted him as well. That's a great pick. And yeah, you get that streak. You get that era of Rob Willie where it was like, he on a trampoline? It's
And
crazy.
nobody wanted to go into the paint. Nobody could go into the paint. Yeah,
Poor guy, dude.
I know.
Pulling out for Rob Willie.
I know.
We love him.
We love you, Rob. We love you, Rob. The Dribble loves you, Rob. And Rob, I know you watch the Dribble every single Monday. So, Rob, thank you for being a great subscriber, Rob Willie. But we're feeling for you, dude. We love you. All right, Timmy, seventh pick. What do you got?
I've got Smart off the bench. I wish I had one more bench scorer, but what I really need is an energy guy, a versatile player, some scoring, some rebounding off the bench. It's got to be Big Baby.
Yeah, I knew you were going to take Big Baby.
I just feel like because honestly, I didn't think I was going to draft him. Like he's on my list, but he is what I need at this point.
Yeah.
Like, again, I'm thinking of a modern NBA. So he's a small forward, whatever. He's sort of, but he can even play small ball center. So he's filling in sort of a lot of gaps in the rotation.
Mm-hmm.
And like best Big Baby on the Celtics was really good, like 12 points a game, like probably like 6 or 7 rebounds. Yeah, and another great, I mean, maybe a little bit of a weird personality, but a great personality. So
yeah,
I'm picking the Big Baby that put Nate Robinson on his shoulders. And,
yeah, that year.
Specifically that moment.
All right, that's a great pick. I love that pick. All right, so your seventh pick, that was your seventh pick, right?
That was my seventh, yeah.
Is Big Baby. Glenn Big Baby Davis. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. I need a shooter off the bench. Taking Eddie House.
Dude, that was my guy. I was sure I was gonna draft Eddie.
Yeah. He has the quick trigger. Him with Malcolm Brogdon and then Rob Willie. I feel like that's good bench balance. We have a point guard running the show. We got a shooter, and then we also have protection inside the paint. So Eddie House was such a big part of that championship team and such a big part of that whole era. But again, he doesn't get talked about as much. I know he's now on the Celtics broadcast a lot of the time, but he was such an important part where if Pierce and Allen and people didn't have it going, he came off the bench and almost always seemed to give a spark off the bench with his scoring, a much needed lift. So for that, yeah, I need him coming off, giving me just silky shots all day.
Yeah, I love that. Eddie House is a guy I wanted to pick. He's a microwave guy. Like you need one of those guys. That's sort of what I don't have here with I mean Marcus could be that, but there was a guy I wanted to pick. So I've got my last pick here, right? This is the last pick.
Yep.
I don't think because KG is my starting center.
Yeah.
And he's a power forward. Let's be honest.
You need size. You do.
You got to have one legit center. Aaron Baines.
Oh, whoa.
Right?
The Australian. What? Okay.
All of Australia is coming to the team. And honestly, Luke, it's just because of the position. Like, I'm looking at the team. You need a guy.
Yeah.
Like, you need one legit center. And
you do.
And it's got to be, because we couldn't draft Horford. Horford was going to be that dude off the bench. I wanted to draft Avery Bradley in this position. I really wanted Avery.
There's a lot of players missed. Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I love that pick, obviously. I mean, all of Australia, Tommy talking about his down under.
Yeah,
but which was one of the funniest moments in Celtic broadcast history. But the name that I was gonna say for my big, if it wasn't Rob Williams, and I'm surprised you didn't pick him. Definitely better in my opinion than Aaron Baines, but Rasheed Wallace,
Well,
he played
she's
well for us in that year.
awesome, but not. No, I mean, yeah,
Better than
like
Aaron Baines.
no, I mean, yes, in a different way. I mean, he wouldn't fit in with my team as well as Aaron Baines. Like
Yeah.
Sheed is so much better than Aaron Baines. Sheed is a fantastic player, but um, I don't know that he was frustrating that year. And then obviously KG, went out. We should have won the title that year. Not that
Yeah.
that matters and whatever, but we should have. We would have, and it was our best Celtics team. That year was 2009 was our best Celtics team. And
Yeah.
then Sheed stepped in, and he had some good moments, and
Yeah.
he had a great career with the Pistons. But no,
No.
to me, yeah, to me, he's a good one. I didn't even have him on my list, but Baines here is just total lunch pail. Like, okay, like there's just
Take
a
a couple
good.
fouls.
Oh, the other team has Boban. All right, matchup. Baines,
Yeah.
get in there, get kicked in the nuts or something. Like, he's not really doing a lot on this team. I got to be honest with you, but I just felt like if I didn't have like a real stiff, like a real center, I would have just not had a complete roster. So
I
I had to
stand
get.
by Rasheed for you mainly because you don't have a lot of big men that stretch the floor. You don't have a lot of 3-point shooting big men.
Have you ever heard of Antoine Walker, bro?
He's not a big man.
He is though a little.
He's big,
He's a
but
power
he shoots
forward,
well. But
kind of. He's point
okay.
guard.
In the
Go ahead.
interest of that, then go through your team and go by position
Yeah.
and then the bench who you have so far. And then we'll do coaches.
Well, point guard. So IT and D White are my starting
Mm-hmm.
backcourt. I would kind of consider D White more the point guard of that team, and IT's more of a shooting guard. Small forward Paul Pierce, and then yeah, power forward Twan, and then KG. So I actually think there's a ton of shooting there.
Yeah.
KG didn't shoot a ton of threes, but I think on my team maybe he's shooting a couple. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Maybe Joe Mazzulla is your head coach and he's
Yeah,
just going
they're
to tell him to shoot
yeah,
50.
take a couple threes. And then Smart, who thinks he can shoot threes, and
Yep.
again, Big Baby, whatever. And then there's Aaron Baines, who obviously is not a shooter, but
Yeah. And then I got at point guard, obviously, Rajon Rondo, one of the best modern traditional point guards. And then I have at shooting guard, I have Tony Allen. At small forward, I have Ray Allen, the Allen boys. And then at power forward, Jason Tatum. And then at center, I'm going to put Kristaps Porzingis. And then for my bench, sixth man of the year in 2022, 2023, Malcolm Brogdon, Eddie House, and Rob Williams anchoring the defense. I like my bench. I like
pretty
my whole
good. I
team.
like your bench a lot. I think you
Yeah.
you beat me on the bench.
Either way, the Celtics have had a lot of really good players in the past 20 years. So either way, both of these teams are stacked, absolutely stacked. But who's leading these teams, dude? Who's leading these groups? Because each of us have different personalities that are going to fit with a different coach.
Mm-hmm.
So here's how we're going to do the coach drafting. You're going to go first since you had the first pick, and we're just going to open it up. You can pick head coach first or assistant coach first, whatever you want to do, but just coach. So state who you're picking or what the position is, and then who the player is. So head coach blank or assistant coach blank. But yeah, you're up first, buddy. Go for it.
Okay, well, I'm gonna pick a head coach. And we've had three really good head coaches, I think.
Yeah.
Four, kind of. Um, and for this team, this is an emotional team. This is a team that's going to be great on defense. Just a lot of like gutty wins. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going with Ime Udoka.
Nice.
Um, Obviously only coached 1 year for the Celtics, and we don't have to talk about his whole thing, but Ime is awesome,
Yep.
and like coaching is hard to quantify sometimes in the NBA, and for me that year it wasn't. He was like a huge reason why that Celtics team improved in the way that they did, and that's not to say anything against Brad Stevens, who's also a great coach. But yeah, Ime Udoka is great, and you can see it this season too with the Rockets, and I think he'd be a great fit with this team. So I'm picking Ime.
Yeah, I like that pick because, like you said, with the locker room, you got a lot of, you got yeah, I say it again, you got a lot of dogs, right?
Yeah,
And Tatum talks about his time with Ime. Brown talks about the time with Ime that he really captured the ear of the locker room, and like they always talk about that. That
you need like a coach on my team like who can really command a room, and
yes,
that's
yeah, no, that's a really good pick for coach. All right, I'm gonna do assistant coach first. Yeah, I'm going to
There's
start
two
from
good
the
ones. I
back.
feel like there's two really, really good ones.
And one of them, again, during his Celtics tenure, was the assistant coach when we won our championship in 2007, 2008. And that's going to be Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah, I knew it. I wanted
He's the
him.
best assistant coach we've had in this time. He's defensive minded coach, and he's somebody who has experience. Like I said, taking a team all the way to the championship. But he is a really good pair with who my head coach is, I think. But he, I think, is the best assistant coach in Celtics in the past 24 years in the parameters post Y2K. So yeah, for that, I'm taking Tom Thibodeau, baby.
Yeah, that's a great pick. I kind of wanted him, with Ime, honestly, too. Yeah, he's had an up and down career as a head coach, but
Yeah,
I mean, come on, he's legendary for
no,
that for the
it's Tom
Celtics.
Thibodeau. That one season got him a head coaching job. So yeah, he's incredible. Capture that magic. That's who my assistant is. All right, Timmy, who's your assistant? Final pick of the post Y2K Celtics draft. Who do you got for your assistant coach?
I think I have to pick this guy because and it's boring, I guess, because he was Ime's assistant. I'm gonna pick Will Hardy. And I love him, and
Yep.
so yeah, Will is
Damn.
he's complimentary to Ime, like in the ways that that matter.
Yeah.
He's a really good coach, and he's a strategic coach. He gives you a little bit more of the X's and O's, a little more of like a offensive coordinator as a basketball assistant coach. But yeah, I think I wanted to pair Ime with someone who wasn't Will Hardy, but like to me, he seems like the obvious choice here. So
Yeah.
they were a great pair, and here they are back again.
I love that. That's a great pick. That he was my second on my list for
Yeah,
assistant coaches. Him and Stoudemire. I thought you were going to pick Damon
yeah,
Stoudemire.
no, yeah, he's a great
Um,
one too.
yeah, those are two. I mean, a lot of really great. Danny Ainge put together really great staffs, and Brad Stevens has done the same. All right, those are good. That's a good coaching staff.
We should get to pick GMs. No, no, no.
No, too far, too far. I picked. Well, can't have two people on your list, and so for that, I'll tell you, my head coach is Brad Stevens.
Yeah, thought
I'm
so.
picking Brad. I was gonna pick Doc, but and he was perfect for that 2008 team because he kind of just let them be them. And KG really was the coach. He was the vocal leader. But I'm picking Brad because looking at my roster, Brad is a savant, right? He's an X's and O's guy. He's an out of timeout guy. And we have Rondo, who I think paired really well with Brad during their time. He played really well for them. And then you have Ray Allen, Tatum, Porzingis. So on offense, I think he can, with that talent, create some really good schemes out of bounds play. They're all high IQ basketball players. Rondo obviously high IQ, Tatum super high IQ, Porzingis definitely is, and Ray Allen obviously. So I'm
Yeah.
picking Brad Stevens. Brad Stevens paired up with Tom Thibodeau, Tim Thibodeau, Tom Thibodeau as my coaching staff for that.
That's great because yeah, Thibodeau's a great compliment to Brad. Maybe
Yeah,
the guy he didn't have. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, man, I I love it. I'm looking at our teams. I mean, we're so different. You have a more sort of like you got a lot of skill guys, a lot of the Tatums, the Rondos, the Rays, the KPs. Um, I've got more of the I mean, it's certainly skilled guys, but like, more more of the sort of like big emotional like, Paul, KG, IT, Antoine, Marcus, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I think they're great compliments to each other, these two teams.
It'd be a fun 7 game series. I am picking my team
Yeah.
on a 7 game series just because of the bench. I like your bench, but I think I cleaned up with Brogdon, Eddie House, and Rob Williams. I think the bench would put it over, but I think it would be a 7 game series, definitely.
Okay, yes. I think your bench, I will concede that. You might have you certainly have a flashier bench. I mean, you got Rob Will,
Yeah.
like, and Brogdon. Like, these are scorers. You got a lot of scoring off the bench.
Yeah.
And Rob Will is great on defense, but like you don't have a lot of generalists, like a lot of like, like I've got Big Baby, I've got Baines. Like these are guys that demand
I'm sorry.
zero touch,
I'm sorry.
zero touches.
Did you just call Aaron Baines a generalist?
Well, just meaning like no, he's not, but these guys require nothing. They're coming in whatever you need,
Yeah.
matchup based. But looking at our starting five though, I mean, you're in trouble, man. Like, you've got just look at the matchups here. Let's start with it. KG KP. All right, like KP's gonna have a hard time. All right,
Yeah, but KG might have a hard time chasing him on the
he
3-point
will,
line.
he will. But he's gonna neutralize him. I think in a lot of ways. He's gonna make it difficult for him.
The Tatum Pierce matchup.
That's fun.
Yeah,
That's real fun.
that's great.
The
Yeah,
back.
I think if you look at how the two teams are structured, it's going to basically come down to like shooting percentage for my team. Your
Yeah.
team's going to be pretty consistent across the board on everything, and it's come down like I think the game would be it's like one of those series almost like against the Heat, where either the Heat win a close game that you're the Heat, or the Celtics win. You know what I mean? Like if the Celtics just happen to be hot, they're going to look like two different teams. And then if the Celtics can't shoot right, and because my team certainly does not have the mental fortitude your team has.
Your team, again, like there's a lot of sort of personalities that are vaguely, I don't know what to say, but yeah,
Melancholy and
sure, yeah,
mute.
yeah.
Yeah. Sweet dude. Well, this was wicked fun. I love this.
So fun, man. Love talking about Celtics new and old.
Celtics new and old. And it reminded me going back, like looking at some of the players, just reminded me of who was on some of those older teams. Like, let's talk about who was left off, right? There was tons of people left off. Real quickly, though, we're running out of some time here, but like small guys, but Leon Poe, James Posey.
I had him on my list. Poe and Posey.
Jay Crowder.
Yep.
Nobody said Jay Crowder. He was good with us. Rasheed Wallace we talked about. And then you got Marcus Morris. And I think one of the biggest leave-offs, Scary Terry Rozier.
Yep, I had Terry. I was going to draft. My drafting Marcus for the first bench spot, sort of, I wanted a House or Rozier, like one of those guys, or a Bradley. Avery Bradley, a great player for the Celtics. And I think, he left this team before we got good. So he never got to be on a winning team, but I thought he would have been great on a winning team.
He would have contributed a lot.
I would say, obviously, we didn't draft Jaylen Brown. But it makes sense why we didn't. I think we both were on the verge of picking him, and just didn't fit with my team who I picked. I totally thought he would have been picked as one of the starters, and Al Horford.
Yeah,
these are two. Again, like you could rerun this exercise; those guys would get drafted.
Absolutely, if you did it again. Like I should have probably drafted Jaylen Brown instead of Tony Allen. But right, anybody listening to this probably is like, Luke, you're an idiot. And maybe I am an idiot. But looking at the identity of my team and who is a shooter, who's a scorer, and where defense needs to be, I think Jaylen Brown's defense is a little bit inflated, to be honest. I think
we're also not saying that Jaylen Brown is, or that Tony Allen or even Derek White or Antoine Walker are better than Jaylen Brown.
No, that's why we said, this is not about who's the best player. This is about who fits best within a team. So Jaylen Brown, we love you, JB. Stay. You got $1 billion. We love you, JB. I know. Again, JB.
We leave off. We left off Brandon Bass.
Shout out Brandon. We left off Kyrie Irving. Well, I know, but he's Kemba Walker, Perkins. These are the starters.
That hurts, dude. Honestly, it hurts that we never even mentioned Kemba.
I know.
Why we didn't mention Kyrie.
We were so excited for him.
But we didn't mention Kemba even once. And he doesn't deserve, honestly, to be on this team, obviously. But that didn't work out, did it?
Yeah, that didn't work out. We were so excited. We thought he was the point guard of the future, but no. All right, dude. Well, that's all the time we have, but that was awesome. That was so cool. Let's try to do more stuff like this.
Yeah, so fun, man.
Yeah. Anyway, my team wins in a 4-game sweep and your team goes home or whatever. That's what you had said. I'm repeating what you just texted me. Everybody, he just texted me and said, your team, I'm reading it verbatim, your team sweeps in any 7-game series 9 times out of 10. Maybe on the 10th, my team gets 1 win, but overall, your team crushes mine. You're smarter than me. You know more about basketball. I love you, but I don't expect you to love me back. That's the text that you just sent me.
It is, and I fired it off real quick, just down here.
And yeah, there you go. You did.
Maybe people can vote on it. Who wins, Lucas' team or Tim's team? We'll do an Instagram poll or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll do an Instagram poll, and I'll put up a graphic of both of our teams, both of our picks, and the coaches, and let you. It's an interactive podcast. I'm gonna let you, the listener, you get to pick whose team makes it to the NBA mountaintop. All right, we're stupid. Let's get out of here.
Yep, let's do it. This has been like an hour and a half.
I know. Sorry, everybody. Listen to it in 2 segments. Peace.
Peace.
All right. Well, that was as exciting as ever. I love that. I love doing stuff like that. If you have anything to say about our picks, let us know. Comment, DM me, send me a ransom note, whatever you want to do. Let me know. Did we screw up our picks? Are we missing somebody that we left off? Would you have it different? Did we get it exactly right? That was really fun. So yeah, before I sign off, I'm going to do what I always do, and I'm going to look ahead to the games in the NBA that I think look really fun and important, and the games for the Celtics in the upcoming week. So we start on Monday. One game that I'm really excited to see on Monday is the Los Angeles Clippers versus the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns go to LA. That's at 10:30 at night. That'll be an interesting one. There's also not many great games on this day, but that's gonna be good. Again, you have the 2018 All-NBA team essentially, right? You have Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, Kevin Durant. That's going to be for all of you who love the 2010s NBA. That's a great game for you. And then on Tuesday, we have Memphis at Dallas, Ja Morant versus Luka Doncic. That's just going to be a marquee matchup no matter how you slice it. And then on Wednesday, we got a couple good games. We have the Philadelphia 76ers versus the Atlanta Hawks. Atlanta Hawks have been hot. Trae Young has been on one. And Philadelphia, if Embiid is back, this will be a great game. If he's still dealing with the knee soreness, we will see what happens there. And then on Thursday, the Phoenix Suns go to Los Angeles. That's another classic matchup. KD versus LeBron. Can't do without it. That's going to be awesome. Also, New York Knicks visit Luka Doncic. Again, got New York basketball mecca against Luka the Magician. That's going to be a good one as well. And then on Friday, we have Denver and New Orleans on ESPN, along with Sacramento at Philadelphia. Again, if Embiid's healthy, that'll be a fantastic slate of games to watch on Friday. And then for the Boston Celtics this week, great slate of games on Monday. The Boston Celtics go to Indiana again. Yeah, I know. It seems like we've been playing Indiana at Indiana all the time this year, but that's just because of the in-season tournament. But yeah, Celtics go back to Indiana. Can they bounce back from a big loss against us this past week? We'll see about that. And then on Wednesday, the game of the week, in my opinion, the Boston Celtics again get revenge, or try to get revenge, rather, against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Timberwolves at Celtics. That's at 7 o'clock on Wednesday. That's going to be a huge game. Anthony Edwards in Boston. Let's go. And then Thursday, second night of a back-to-back, the Boston Celtics go to Milwaukee on TNT at 7:30. So that's the second night of a back-to-back after what's going to be a tough first game against Minnesota. We'll see how it goes, but hopefully we can score 200 points on the terrible defense of the Milwaukee Bucks. And then finally, capping off the week on Saturday, the Boston Celtics play the Houston Rockets. Houston Rockets come to Boston. Ime back in Boston should be a good one. Şengün, Green, everybody on that team has been playing exceptionally well. They're a really interesting team, young team, inexperienced, but they put up a great fight against basically every team. So it's a tough slate of games. Really tough slate of games. Pacers, Minnesota Timberwolves, Milwaukee Bucks, Houston Rockets. That's a tough slate of games for this Celtics team, but we'll see if we're up for the challenge. Next week's episode is going to be fun. We're going to break down every single one of those games, so I'm looking forward to that next Monday, talking about those games. So yeah, cool. That's about everything. I'm going to go ahead and sign off, but this has been real fun. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something. Hope I didn't sound too stupid. But this has been The Dribble.